Have you ever felt that you're not seeing enough remakes, reboots, and sequels these days, and that you especially wanted to see a remake of a cult movie from the 80s? Well, if your answer was yes, then you're in luck because this week I had a chance to watch The Toxic Avenger, starring Peter Dinklage, Kevin Bacon, and Elijah Wood, a movie that's sort of a loose remake of a horror exploitation movie from the 80s. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with the original Toxic Avenger movie from 1984, this was a production that was the very definition of shoestring. It had very little financial backing, it didn't have the best actors, it didn't have the best effects, it didn't have the best fight choreographers, and the screenplay was nonsensical, preposterous, unapologetic, and not at all politically correct, showing both graphic and naughty scenes in it. It was a movie with a very small and tight crew that are rumored to have spent most of their time on set partying non-stop during the production of the movie in true 80s fashion, if you know what I mean. And perhaps due to the type of fun being had during the original Toxic Avenger production, in spite of its very, very tight budget, Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hertz of Troma Studios were able to direct and produce a movie that against all odds had its own charm in that cult movie kind of way, where it's so bad that it's kind of intriguing and you can't help but appreciate the ambition that went into making it, even if it's not technically a great movie or anything. And the real question is, after 40 years or so, was there ever any chance of recapturing the atmosphere of the original movie and tailor it towards a more modern audience? Well, in this video, I'm going to go over all that stuff, but if it's not too much trouble, before we begin, please make sure to like and subscribe, as it would really help an independent movie reviewer like myself.
Do it.
Right as the new movie begins, you can tell that it's taking a different narrative route than the original. In the original Toxic Avenger movie, the main character was a dim-witted janitor at a local gym, but Peter Dinklage's character here is a janitor at some kind of pharmaceutical company factory. His wife recently passed away, and he's raising her son, who's actually his stepson, and both of them seem kind of depressed and going through issues. This guy then discovers that he's very sick and he needs medical treatment, but his company's medical insurance doesn't cover it. And after an attempt to talk to his company's CEO about the situation and about possibly helping him, he learns that nobody really wants to help him at all, and when he goes back to the factory at night, due to something of a mishap, he ends up running into some thugs that work for his boss, and during this violent altercation, he ends up absorbing toxic chemicals that turn him into this superhero of sorts called Toxic Avengers, where he looks kind of gross, but he's actually trying to do something good. And from this part on, there are some scenes that kind of mirror the original movie, and while the effects are certainly much better now, and the cast is certainly stronger, but that's also where the movie runs into some noticeable problems. The original 1984 version was so poorly made that it actually generates some laughs, and you can also appreciate how it absolutely doesn't care if it offends somebody. But in this day and age, people don't like getting offended, which is why this remake somehow tries to cover both bases. On the one hand, it tries to replace the silliness of the original with more dramatic beats. On the other hand, it still wants to be really dumb, gory, and grotesque, and somehow, if you ask me, I don't think this hybrid really works all that well together. Peter Dinklage, Kevin Bacon, and Elijah Wood are certainly solid actors, way better than any cast from the original movie, but they seem to be overacting at times to try to look like bad actors, and all of their scenes just have them chewing a lot of scenery, and that doesn't always work for me either, as if the movie is trying hard to look like a B-movie with an A-list cast and more of a budget, and somehow, as a viewer, you can feel that, and I don't mean it in a good way. So at the end of the day, even though the remake has a much bigger budget than the original movie, it's not really able to capture that excessive 80s vibe, although it certainly tries, because it turns out that sometimes something that worked at a certain moment in time, and at a certain moment in pop culture, isn't something you can recreate at a different time period. They have that term, catching lightning in a bottle, and although I wouldn't say that the original Toxic Avenger is exactly the Godfather, but for whatever it tries to do, it does have that kind of lightning in a bottle, and this new movie, in my opinion, isn't able to reproduce that. Honestly, I never really thought that this remake was a good idea, and after watching it, I don't really feel much differently. Now, was it the worst movie I'd ever seen? No, I guess it wasn't the worst movie, but it also wasn't anything special. It was, at the end of the day, another example for why Hollywood needs to start making original movies and shows again, fan and to stop relying on the IPs of yesteryear. And if I had to give this movie a score where anything below 60 is considered a failing grade, I guess I would give this movie a 60 out of 100. It's not especially good, but I was able to watch it and accept it for whatever it was. And if you enjoyed this review, please make sure to like and subscribe, as that type of engagement would really help my channel. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thank you, and good day.
I am such an awesome guy. I make so many videos.